Hey there, guys. Welcome to night 3 of the Resurrection Egg story. Miss Nicole obviously is not at home. She's actually in her car right now because I ran out this afternoon to do some errands and decided to stop at Sonic and get a drink. And so I'm drinking from my cup. And I thought that was actually appropriate because tonight is the story of Jesus and the Last Supper and the sharing of the cup with his disciples. Tonight, our special guest storyteller is Miss Addie Hawkins, and we're super excited because Addie did a great job, and we appreciate her so much for taking the time to tell you guys this story.
And he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink of it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." Matthew 26:27-28. Jesus had a special dinner with his disciples, 12 of his closest friends who traveled with him and learned from him. During the meal, Jesus stood up and held out a cup and gave everyone a drink. Then he said something that was hard for them to understand. He said that the wine in the cup was his blood. He didn't mean that they would actually be drinking blood, but that the wine was a symbol or a picture of his blood. He wanted them to remember this special night and the covenant or promise he was making to them and to all people. Do you know what this promise is? You'll find out if you keep listening.
And there's a couple, actually about 3 really important things I want you to note in this story and to think about as you listen to Addie tell it. Number 1, Jesus gathered with his disciples the night before his crucifixion and had a final meal with them, and he gathered with all of them. Now, they were his people, but Jesus knew that at least 2 of them were going to do things to go against him. He knew that Judas was going to betray him, and he knew that Peter was going to deny him, but yet he still invited them to his table. And I think there's a good lesson to know from that sometimes in life, the people that we want to invite to our table are our best friends, our favorite people, the people we like, but Jesus doesn't call us to just be with the people that are our buddies. He calls us to be with all people. So make sure when you're inviting people to your table, you think of all of Jesus's disciples, from me to you to your best friend and maybe the person you don't like so much, because all of those people are God's people, not just our favorite ones, not just the ones who always do us right, all of them. And all of them are welcome at his table and at ours. And then I want you to think about this. When Jesus was with his disciples, he took the bread and broke the bread, and he said, "This is my body broken for you." And he gave thanks for it to God. Jesus took a moment, even with all that was going on, even with knowing that he was going to be crucified the next day, and he gave thanks to God for it. I don't imagine that this night, the Last Supper, the last meal that Jesus just shared with his disciples, was an easy night for him. I have a feeling he had a lot on his mind, but he still took the time to thank God. And I think that's important for us to remember, that even in the not so happy times and in the happy times both, we give thanks to God for what he gives us, because whether it's the best time of our life or maybe a little bit rougher time, there's still a blessing in it somewhere. Sometimes it takes a long time for us to see it, but there's always a blessing, and we should always thank God for it. And the other thing that I want you to remember is this. When Jesus was with his disciples that night, when he said that, and he said, "This is my body broken for you, and this is my blood poured out for you," he said, "Do this as often as you drink it, and do it in remembrance of me." I don't think he was just talking about when we eat and drink. So many things that come from God are food for us, whether it's food for our bellies, food for our souls, food for our minds. And I think he wants us to remember him and how he works in everything we do, not just when we eat, but when we wake up in the morning, when we see the beautiful sunshine, when we spend time with friends, when we get time to rest our bodies and our souls and our minds. All of those things are food. Maybe not actual food like bread and juice, but they're still food. They're still nutrition for our lives. So make sure that you take time to remember God and remember the sacrifice Jesus made for you in everything you do, not just when you sit down and eat. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have the best night. Love you so much. Bye.